Hi, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up to the video that was published last week or so about the Sharks News Aggregator. I got a few questions about how I was connecting the application to the external GPU. And I thought, one, I've explained that kind of use case before in other videos, but maybe they were more data center, enterprise, noBGP's core use case and customers. But I'm just using the same technology on a more personal project. So I will explain that and kind of the benefits of noBGP while I'm at it. So let's start. So the first thing is the news aggregator gets published. The URL that you see when you go to the actual news feed on the website is a noBGP proxy URL. So this is kind of like, any other proxy. It's going to hide my local infrastructure, where I'm hosting it, the actual website from the public. The biggest differences are there's no DNS entry like you would have if I had registered mysharksnewsfeed.com. There would be a DNS entry somewhere in the world that points to my IP address, right? So it doesn't completely hide your IP address if you're using a public domain. The other thing this does is it means if I move around my infrastructure and it switches from my normal internet connection to a failover internet connection on 5G, or I unplug everything, walk next door and plug it into my neighbor's network, everything after it reboots will come back online and this URL will stay the same. So there are definitely some advantages of this. For me, it was just easy, and since I already had noBGP doing other things, it was just a no-brainer for me just to share the URL. This is a short-term kind of project for me, just from now to probably trade deadline time. So this URL for me doesn't have to be permanent, right? So I'm not trying to, drive external SEO traffic to it, for example. But definitely for internal private, infrastructure traffic, this is great. The second thing that I wanted to cover is that I use noBGP to connect from the web application to the actual external LLM, which is, GPU, TPU, NPU, whatever we're calling it, running on different hardware. Now I've moved that LLM around the different pieces of equipment, different hardware, different accelerators, trying different things, but it all kind of works the same, and I will explain it here. So I have a noBGP network. There's 3 devices on this example network. This Raspberry Pi over here is actually running Ollama and the Quinn Instruct model, LLM. I have Llama on here as well, running a bigger 3 billion parameter version, but that's the endpoint that has the actual LLM running. And you can hit it just like a normal Ollama endpoint. But since I have noBGP installed on all these devices from a different Raspberry Pi, I can ping that device, even though they're on different networks, different parts of the world, in different cities. I can ping the device that's in the same local network over the noBGP network using the noBGP host name. So from my Pi that I'm logged into the host with, I'm going to hit that Ollama API on the external remote Raspberry Pi and just give it a simple prompt to write a haiku about the Olympics. Again, this is not a super fast LLM, as you can see. It's not built for speed. It's just what it was bare minimum to do the classification requirements that I had for the newsfeed application. So this will eventually come back and return something while we're waiting. The other thing that having noBGP installed on all these devices does is that I can use the noBGP MCP server, which I use during vibe coding, to have Claude run commands on each of these nodes. So as I'm setting up the infrastructure, if I need applications, scripts run, scripts created, Claude can actually go and get to this terminal directly, and it can actually execute commands. And actually the terminal you're looking at is actually running over a noBGP connection. So it has a private URL that has authentication required. that I use to actually connect to this. I don't know why it's not returning. Okay, so it finally came back and returned something. That is definitely not a haiku, but it returned something. So that's, I guess, okay. Creativity is not in the sweet spot of Quint 2.5 on a 1 billion parameter model. But yeah, so you can hit that endpoint. So from my code in the actual news feed, I basically pass the title, the article contents to the LLM with the prompt to go and validate whether this should be in the feed or not. And I give it different rules, and it has different examples in its background. And it returns yeses and nos and keywords and things like that. So yeah, for the use case I have, this is a big enough model. For this example I picked to write a haiku, probably not a good model. So you probably need something a little bit more creative for that. But that's basically how I have the newsfeed application connected to the external LLM. It's just using the normal Ollama API that I connect via the noBGP host names, since all the devices are on the same noBGP network. I hope that clears it up. You can get tons more information from the noBGP documentation, examples there. But yeah, if you have any questions, do reach out and let me know. Thanks.